Myles Garrett gave Cleveland everything he had: sacks, leadership, grit. Judkins answered with a ground performance that had the home crowd on its feet. But as the final whistle blew and the Browns escaped with a win, the conversations post-game had little to do with either of them. The spotlight shifted instead to Shedeur Sanders, or more accurately, his absence. With Gabriel floundering and the offense visibly stuck in neutral, Stefanski's refusal to give Sanders a shot hit hard. For a fan base desperate to believe in something more, that decision felt like a betrayal.
If you're into the real story and all the messy twists they don't show on highlight reels, go ahead and subscribe. And if you're sticking around to see how this Browns QB chaos plays out, you should definitely be subscribed.
What's unfolding in Cleveland is no longer just a quarterback controversy. It's a test of courage at the leadership level. Sanders has shown the leadership, calm, and confidence that this stagnant offense desperately needs. Gabriel, meanwhile, continues to prove he's not the one to get them over the hump. Stefanski can't delay this decision forever. Every game he hesitates risks letting down a team that's primed for more, and a fan base that knows exactly what it's missing. Kevin Stefanski is under fire, and not just from a few disgruntled fans yelling into the void of Twitter. The backlash is real, it's growing, and it's not going away anytime soon, because the Cleveland Browns just walked out of a game against the Dolphins with more questions than answers. And at the center of it all, a head coach who benched Shedeur Sanders when the moment demanded anything but hesitation. Let's start with the obvious. The Browns' defense did their job. Actually, they did everyone's job. Myles Garrett and the rest of that unit didn't just show up, they dominated. Relentless pressure, drive-killing chaos, turnovers at key moments. This defense didn't just slow down the Dolphins, they completely derailed them. It was the kind of gritty, grinded-out performance that should have been the backbone of a blowout win. Judkins added the spark on offense, bulldozing through Miami's front like it was open field practice. 3 touchdowns, each more electric than the last. He gave the crowd something to believe in. Vision, agility, determination. Judkins made it clear he's ready to carry the load. But even his explosive day couldn't mask the problem that was sitting under center. Dillon Gabriel. In a game that begged for a steady hand, Gabriel looked shaky, lost, and completely unable to adjust. The Dolphins brought pressure. He collapsed under it. Missed throws, slow reads, zero composure. And the worst part? Everyone saw it. The fans saw it. The analysts saw it. And still, Stefanski refused to make a change. This wasn't about letting a struggling QB play through it. It was about ignoring the obvious in real time. Every possession that stalled, every pass that floated off target, every opportunity wasted, it all pointed to the same question. Why is Shedeur Sanders still on the bench? Because let's be real, the talk around Sanders hasn't just been hype. It's been based on actual potential, confidence, leadership, agility, composure under pressure. Everything Gabriel was missing, Sanders brings to the table. And not just in theory. Those qualities have been visible in practices, in his demeanor, in his readiness. He wants the moment. Stefanski just wouldn't give it to him. And that's where the frustration reaches boiling point. It's not that fans expected perfection. They just wanted an attempt, a shift, a spark, a moment where the coaching staff stopped clinging to comfort and did what was necessary to win. Instead, Stefanski held the line. He stuck with Gabriel. And in doing so, he exposed a deeper issue: fear of bold decisions. Cleveland wasn't facing a blowout. The defense was doing the heavy lifting. Judkins was giving the offense life. What they needed was a quarterback who could keep up with the moment, who could take advantage of momentum. Instead, they got a stalled-out passing game that couldn't keep drives alive. And through it all, Sanders stayed benched. The narrative coming out of that game wasn't great win by the Browns. It was, how did they almost lose that? That's the energy surrounding the team right now. Not celebration, concern. Because when you're this stacked on defense, when you've got a breakout back like Judkins, and when your season still has room to grow, every missed opportunity stings a little more. And that missed opportunity is spelled Shedeur Sanders. Fans know it. Media knows it. Even some inside the team reportedly feel it. that Sanders could have changed the game, could have at least disrupted Miami's defensive rhythm, could have extended plays, moved the pocket, brought a level of calm that was completely absent. But instead of seizing that momentum, Stefanski stuck with a QB who was unraveling. And now he's being blasted for it. Rightfully so. Because this isn't just about a quarterback controversy. It's about philosophy. The Browns are at a crossroads. Stick with a flawed, outdated plan built on veteran loyalty and blind optimism. Or make the bold call. Turn the page. Give the ball to someone who might actually raise the team ceiling. And it is about ceiling. Because you cannot ride a top 5 defense and a hot running back forever. At some point, you need consistency in the passing game. You need someone who can keep defenses honest. You need a quarterback who can deliver when it counts. And right now, that's not Gabriel. Stefanski's decision to ignore that, despite everything happening on the field, was more than stubborn. It was strategic paralysis. And in the NFL, indecision is a decision. One that costs you games. Locker room trust. Momentum. You can already feel it brewing. Fans are no longer asking if Sanders should start. They're asking why hasn't he already? The pressure is building. Game after game. Week after week. The demand for change is starting to feel inevitable. And if Stefanski waits too long, he's not just risking games. He's risking the locker room. Because players see this too. They know when the offense isn't clicking. They know when one side of the ball is doing all the work. And they definitely know when talent is being wasted. That kind of tension doesn't just stay bottled up. At some point, the whispers become noise. The noise becomes distraction. And that's when things start slipping. So yes, Stefanski is being blasted. And no, it's not unfair. He's not being judged on a whim. He's being held accountable for a decision that could derail what should be a defining season for the Browns. The question is no longer about Gabriel's flaws. It's about Stefanski's refusal to acknowledge them. Because the playbook isn't just failing the team, it's failing the moment. You've got a catalyst in Sanders. You've got a defense playing with fire. You've got a running back putting up highlight reel touchdowns. What's stopping this team from becoming a serious threat? Only one position, and the refusal to change it. Sanders doesn't need to be a miracle. He just needs to be given a chance. Let him manage a drive. Let him settle into a rhythm. Let him lead. That's what this team is starving for, leadership from under center. And yet, Stefanski continues to gamble on what's safe, not what's right. That might fly when you're rebuilding. But not now. Not when everything else is working. The longer he waits, the more it looks like fear, not strategy. So where does that leave Cleveland? Right on the edge. An offense with a ceiling. A fan base losing patience. A defense doing everything it can. And a coaching staff that won't pull the trigger on the most obvious move in the building. If Sanders had gone in and failed, that would have been a different conversation. But at least there would have been a conversation. Right now it's just silence. And that silence is louder than any mistake Sanders could have made on the field. It's time. Either Stefanski steps up, owns the moment, and gives Sanders the shot he's earned, or he risks watching this season spiral into the what could have been column. If you've been yelling at your screen, just like we have, hit that like button and drop your thoughts in the comments. Should Sanders start next week? Or is Stefanski too far gone to make the call? Subscribe for more chaos, more drama, and whatever this Brown saga becomes next, because it's only getting hotter from here. Let's not sugarcoat it. This isn't a coaching blunder you brush off with a he'll learn. This is a full-on, high-stakes refusal to adapt. And it's got the entire Cleveland Browns organization sitting on a very uncomfortable edge. The moment Kevin Stefanski chose to stick with Dillon Gabriel despite an offense that couldn't get out of neutral, he didn't just put the game at risk, he sent a message. A message that loyalty trumps logic. That comfort is more valuable than chemistry. And that leadership isn't about accountability. It's about avoiding confrontation. And that message? It's not just getting booed from the stands. It's echoing through the walls of the franchise. Because let's look at this clearly. You have Myles Garrett playing like a Defensive Player of the Year candidate, anchoring a unit that gave you everything. You have Judkins, a force of nature on the ground, making highlight reels with every carry. You have a team that fought tooth and nail to contain one of the NFL's fastest, flashiest offenses. And then you look at the offense under Gabriel, and it's like watching two completely different teams wear the same jersey. Gabriel wasn't just bad. He was indecisive, overwhelmed, and, worst of all, predictable. Miami didn't have to adjust to him. They knew exactly what to expect. Blitz pressure? Gabriel crumbles. Zone reads? He locks in on a target. Pocket movement? Non-existent. It was a clinic in how to stall a football game with your quarterback's limitations on full display. And while all of that was unraveling, Shedeur Sanders sat on the sideline, helmet on, waiting. Waiting for a coach who couldn't see what everyone else already had. It's not like this is some random backup with no upside. We're talking about Shedeur Sanders, a quarterback with composure, leadership, and presence. The guy's known for staying cool in chaos. And if there's one thing the Browns needed in that Dolphins game, it was someone to reset the energy, change the rhythm, and punch back when the momentum started slipping. Instead, silence. Same QB. Same 3-and-outs. Same slow unravel. And the Browns didn't just lose an opportunity to dominate. They lost a chance to shift the narrative. Because right now, the conversation isn't about how good Cleveland's defense is. It's not about Judkins' monster game. It's about Stefanski's refusal to adapt in a moment that screamed for it. And let's be honest, this isn't new. The whispers about Stefanski's conservative play calling, his tendency to overtrust struggling veterans, and his resistance to making in-game changes have been around. But this was the moment those whispers turned into full-on shouting. Because it wasn't about a blowout loss. It was about a winnable game being dragged into uncertainty by one decision. And that decision? To not give Sanders a chance to lead. You can feel the energy around this team shift. What could have been a clean, confident win turned into a talking point. Every highlight from Garrett or Judkins is being overshadowed by the one question hanging over this franchise. Why won't they play Sanders? It's not just an on-field problem. This is a culture issue now. A locker room issue. Players might not say it publicly, but they're watching. They're seeing who's being held accountable and who's being protected. And once players start believing performance doesn't matter, only favoritism, that's when trust starts to erode. You don't need anonymous sources or locker room leaks to know what's coming. That kind of disillusionment starts quietly, but it grows fast. And let's talk about the fan base, because they've been through it. Browns fans aren't new to frustration. They've survived years of letdowns, busted draft picks, coaching merry-go-rounds, and heartbreaks on national TV. But what's different now is that, for the first time in a while, they believed. This season wasn't supposed to be another build year. This was supposed to be the payoff. The year the defense rose to dominance. The year the offense found balance. The year Cleveland didn't just compete, they imposed their will. But you can't impose anything when your quarterback play is pulling you backward. And you definitely can't inspire belief when your coach refuses to course correct in real time. Shedeur Sanders isn't just a quarterback option. He's a symbol of change, of potential, of what this team could become if they stop playing scared. It's not just about arm talent. It's about intangibles. Sanders is confident, calm, unshaken by pressure. He brings a spark that doesn't just affect the offense. It lifts the whole team. That's what great quarterbacks do. They raise the floor. They turn barely hanging on into let's go win this. But none of that matters if he's not on the field. And Stefanski's refusal to even try him? That's not bold coaching. That's tactical cowardice. There's no other way to say it. You had a chance to take control of the game, to make a statement, to reward performance and hold everyone accountable, including your starter. And instead, you stuck with a plan that wasn't working. That's not loyalty. That's neglect. Now the Browns are in a position no team wants to be in, good enough to win, but not brave enough to evolve. That's the most dangerous place in the NFL. Because it's how you waste talent. It's how you miss windows. And it's how you end up as the team everyone used to be afraid of. And sure, Stefanski can still fix it. There's time. The season isn't lost. But the margin for error? Gone. Because this team is no longer just being evaluated on wins and losses. It's being judged on urgency. On whether or not leadership has the guts to chase something greater than good enough. Fans aren't asking for perfection. They're asking for progress, for action, for recognition that a defense this good and a run game this potent deserves more than what they're getting from behind center. And that recognition starts with one move: bench Gabriel. Start Sanders. Let the kid play. Let the team breathe. Let the fans believe again. Because at this point, the only thing more damaging than making the wrong decision is refusing to make one at all. Every game from here on out will carry this weight. Every offensive drive will be under a microscope. Every Stefanski press conference will be replayed, dissected, and questioned. And every time Sanders remains benched while Gabriel struggles, the noise will get louder, the pressure will grow, and the trust in leadership will keep fading. There is still a future where this Browns team is everything the fans hoped for. Where Garrett leads a historic defense, Judkins becomes a household name, and Sanders injects life into a stagnant offense. That version of this team? Still possible. But only if the coach gets out of the way. So Stefanski has a choice. Keep playing scared and watch this season slip away, or take the leap, trust the spark, and give Sanders the shot he's earned. Cleveland deserves that. The locker room needs that. And the fans? They've waited for that. Kevin Stefanski is out here treating Shedeur Sanders like a developmental project, as if this team has time to develop anything. As if the Cleveland Browns haven't spent years clawing their way out of mediocrity, only to wind up stuck at the one position that still can't figure it out. And after that game against the Dolphins, it's painfully clear that Stefanski's biggest weakness isn't game management, it's stubbornness. Let's call it what it is. The Browns were bailed out. They didn't win that game because of a masterful offensive scheme or quarterback brilliance. They won because the defense flat out dominated and Judkins ran like his life depended on it. That's it. That's the tweet. Myles Garrett played like he was on a mission from another planet. Quarterback hits, collapsing pockets, surgical pressure. He was everywhere. You could feel the fear from Miami's offensive line. And still, instead of capitalizing on that dominance with a balanced attack, the Browns' offense gave the same energy as a buffering live stream. They were stuck. Gabriel wasn't just underperforming. He was holding the entire unit back. Missed throws, misreads, no tempo, no spark. Every time the Browns got the ball back, it felt like watching a car try to start with a dead battery. And yet, Shedeur Sanders? Untouched. Unused. Wasting time and talent on the sideline. At this point, it's not even about whether Sanders is the better player. It's about whether the Browns are willing to find out. Because right now, they're choosing to ignore a possible solution just to avoid admitting the current plan is broken. This kind of thinking is how you waste seasons. It's how you go from dark horse contender to first-round exit. It's how fans lose faith and locker rooms lose belief. Because if the standard isn't performance, what is it? Gabriel has shown you what he is. He's a capable backup, maybe a solid bridge guy on a rebuilding team. But this isn't a rebuild. The Browns' defense is elite right now. Judkins is breaking out right now. The AFC is wide open right now. So why are we still pretending like there's time to be cautious? You don't get many windows in the NFL. Teams with elite defenses and explosive run games don't come around every year. You either capitalize when the moment arrives, or you get stuck wondering what could have been. And right now, Stefanski is choosing hesitation. He's choosing to ride a quarterback who can't read pressure over one who might actually ignite something. He's choosing to play scared. And maybe Stefanski thinks he's protecting Sanders. That maybe the moment's too big, the pressure too heavy, the transition too sudden. But that's the thing. Great quarterbacks want that pressure. They thrive in those moments. And everything we've seen from Sanders says he's built for it. Leadership? He's got it. Confidence? He radiates it. And unlike Gabriel, he's not going to fall apart the moment the pocket collapses. He can move. He can create. He can keep a defense honest. And really, that's all the Browns need. Not a superhero. Just a quarterback who can match the energy of the rest of the roster. Because right now, the imbalance is brutal. Garrett is playing out of his mind. Judkins is lighting up defenses. And then there's the passing game, dragging its feet like it's waiting for someone else to make the decision. And the fan base? They're past the give-it-time phase. They're tired of seeing talent wasted and potential benched. The more Stefanski doubles down, the louder the frustration grows. You can feel it every time Gabriel misses an open receiver. Every time a drive stalls out. Every time Sanders stays seated. This isn't about hot takes or knee-jerk reactions. This is about watching the same problem unfold over and over again with no adjustment. That's what's killing the trust right now. Because what happens if Stefanski keeps ignoring this? What if the Browns drop a crucial divisional game because Gabriel can't move the chains and once again, the defense gets no support? What if the locker room starts splitting? What if Sanders wants out because he knows he's being held back? That's what's on the line. Not just wins and losses, but the trajectory of this entire roster. The defense is championship caliber. The run game is playoff ready. But that quarterback spot? That's the crack in the foundation. And Stefanski's refusal to patch it up is starting to look like negligence, not strategy. It doesn't have to be this complicated. Pull Gabriel. Start Sanders. Let him breathe life into this team. Let him try. And if he struggles, fine. At least you know. At least you took a shot. But this sitting on hands approach isn't leadership. It's fear dressed up as patience. And that's what hurts the most. Because fans want to believe. They want to trust the vision. But what Stefanski is doing right now doesn't inspire confidence. It inspires anxiety. It tells fans that the ceiling isn't where it should be, not because of talent, but because of timid coaching. You can't keep running the same script and expect a different outcome. The defense can't save you every week. Judkins can't break off 3 touchdowns every game. Eventually, the offense needs to do its job. And Gabriel just isn't the guy to do it. That doesn't mean he's the villain. It just means the Browns are done pretending he's the answer. And if Stefanski won't make the call now, then when? Does he need to lose a game they should have won? Does the team need to be out of playoff contention? Does it need to get ugly before he finally turns to the most obvious solution? Because the fans? They're already there. They've moved on. They've watched enough tape, enough stalled drives, enough we just need to execute better press conferences. They want a team that plays to win, not to not lose. And right now, that's all Stefanski is doing, trying not to lose. But by refusing to take the risk, he is losing. Losing momentum. Losing trust. And soon, possibly, losing control of a season that could have been special. The Browns aren't just a few tweaks away from greatness. They're one decision away. One switch. One change. One act of courage from their head coach to stop playing it safe and start playing to win. Let Sanders lead. Let him bring balance to the chaos. Let the offense finally reflect the energy of the rest of this team. Because if they don't, they'll look back at this stretch of games, this stretch of hesitations, and realize this was the moment the season slipped away, not because they lacked the talent, but because they lacked the guts to use it. If you've had enough of this dance and you're ready to see real change, smash that like button and sound off in the comments. Do you think Stefanski finally pulls the trigger and lets Sanders take over? Or are we watching a coach ride his fear straight into mediocrity? Hit subscribe, turn on notifications, and buckle up. Because if this pressure keeps building, the real explosion in Cleveland might not come from the fans or the media, but from inside the locker room.